ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Is it actually necessary to become a technique hunter in Kriya Yoga? Because we find some people, they always want techniques. If I can do this technique, then this will happen. If I can do this technique, then this will happen. Of course, techniques are required. Techniques help us to have mastery over our mind. Techniques help us to gradually proceed in a direction so that we can halt all the vrittis of our mind. Techniques are required. But to become a technique hunter, that as much as techniques I can learn, such type of people, they don't just do justice to their practice. I have a friend during my PhD days. In that time, technology was not advanced as on present day. There is big Xerox machine. So whenever he will get some paper, some book, some information, he will go and make a Xerox. He will simply run and make a Xerox. Every day he was running to the Xerox shop to make a Xerox. And then in his room, there are piles of Xerox papers, but he never reads. So what is the use? Similarly, people, they want techniques. But how much they are actually practicing? Simply, if you are gathering techniques and not doing justice to the practice, that is not going to help you. First thing, one should remember that fundamentals should be clear. That means, if you are not established in yama and niyama, not established in ahimsa, non-violence, if not established in satya, truthfulness, honesty, not established in asteya, if you are not living by a honest means, not established in brahmacharya, if you have no restraint over your senses and sense organs, all these things, these aparigraha, if you are always a tendency to gather some material objects, if you have no saucha, if not santosha, then as much as technique you do, you are not going to be successful. But people don't want to understand these basic things. They simply say that techniques will do. Techniques as a role, but if you are not having all these fundamentals and other fundamentals like shraddha, devotion, then how techniques will help? Then next thing is there any requirement of so many techniques? Paramahansa Yogananda, while teaching Kriya Yoga, reduced all the techniques to 4. He was just telling to do Hamsa Sadhana, Mahamudra, Kriya and Jyoti Mudra, these 4. Not teaching many techniques. Why? Because he knew that these much of techniques people will just learn, then they will think that I know so many things, but virtually they don't know many things. That does not mean that you will not learn more techniques. Yes, you will learn. When you are qualified to have that. For that, one has to remain in contact with his guru, with his pathfinder, with his guide. That part nowadays is gradually lacking. So that what is the effect you are having on due to your practice, he will know and he can advise you whether you require to learn some more techniques. I know there are some people, of course their number is very few. I ask them to learn for higher techniques. They say, no, this much we are happy, we are there is doing so much, and at present we don't want to learn. But there are a set of people who they always want, give me the next higher Kriya, give me the next higher Kriya, give me the next higher Kriya. Then higher techniques are given when one is established in the previous techniques. It is done for a longer period. Satu dirgha kala, long period. Naryantar ratio, it is done regularly without interruption. Satkara savito, simply not done mechanically, done with love. Then one becomes established in that technique. Then that practitioner will able to know whether he actually requires or actually prepares himself or herself for the higher techniques. That part people are not doing. If you ask me for my own experience, I have never asked for any higher techniques. I knew that whatever techniques I have learned, if I do justice to that, Mother Nature is always compassionate to give in some form, in some way to me the higher techniques, and it gives, Mother Nature always gives me the techniques more than that I can do, always more, not less. And people know many techniques, they go learn, go, after 2 years they come, they forget everything, they again ask for the same techniques, because they are not doing justice to their techniques. That is how a practitioner should know that instead of knowing many techniques, rather than the techniques that I know, I should do a justice to that. I should do long-term uninterrupted practice, following the basics, following the fundamentals. Then only that technique will work and one will be qualified, and in some way you will certainly get the higher techniques if it is required. Higher techniques are required when your mind plays with you, makes a trick, because of the monotony of the technique that you are practicing at present. So now your mind is playing game with you, and with the same technique, now mind is not being tamed. In that case, you may need a higher technique if you are doing it sincerely, the previous ones. Then sometimes what happens, as you grow in the practice, in the previous technique, if you are not able to pierce the knots, then higher techniques will help you. But without that, simply running after the higher techniques, becoming a what is called a technique hunter, is not going to help a practitioner, because you practice so many things and then does not practice anything or do justice to the each technique that you are learning. That is why it is important to follow the basic rules, live a life with purity, and practice for a long period sincerely the techniques that one has learned. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.